This morning on Inside Kansas Politics, Kansas lawmakers are trying to stop kids from changing their gender. What's next for a bill struck down by the governor at the State House? Plus,
this is the most cost-effective thing we can do.
It is a push to save a program on Capitol Hill helping the hungry worldwide. How it could impact people here in Kansas.
And tenure for teachers could be a thing of the past in Kansas. Why lawmakers are taking up a bill to get rid of it as one state university is under fire. You're taking a look inside Kansas politics. Welcome in. I'm Rebecca Chung.
And I'm Rob Hughes. And we are starting off with a look at the top bills of the State House this week. Leading the list is Senate Bill 63.
It's a bill banning gender-affirming care for minors. Could this be the year that it becomes law? Kansas Governor Laura Kelly striking down her first bill of the session, a bill that would stop kids from changing their gender.
It's a concerning bill in the aspect that it is targeting a very vulnerable population already.
Some critics of the bill say lawmakers shouldn't be getting in between patients and their doctors. But supporters of the plan argue it's about protecting kids.
They want to change their body. That's up to them when they're an adult.
The clock is ticking for lawmakers to take it up for an override. And they're promising to act quickly. We're here with political analyst Bob Beatty and state and local government professor Bill Fiender. So Bob, let's start with you. It's all about the numbers, and right now the numbers are in Republicans' favor.
Yeah, it's always about the numbers, and the key numbers were actually in this recent election in Kansas in which the Republicans were able to expand their supermajority. Governor Laura Kelly has vetoed pretty much this same bill the last 2 years, but she was able to pick off a couple Republicans so they couldn't override the veto. However, they expanded their majority to about 5 on each side. And in the vote to pass this bill, it was 32-8 in the Senate. They only need 27, to get that supermajority. And it was a 1 vote under in the House. Of course, it passed, but they needed 84 for the supermajority. But several Republicans weren't even there. So Republicans are quite confident that when all the Republicans show up for the override, that they will be able to override the governor's veto.
All right. And we do know that some of the other states have something similar like this in place. Bill, can we get your take, and then Bob, will you?
Yeah, beside the numbers, this issue is gaining momentum because of some court decisions. The Supreme Court, particularly in overturning Roe v. Wade, opened the door that they don't want to play doctor. We're going to push medical issues and healthcare down to the states. As we all know, that's when something is silent in the Constitution, it comes to the states to decide. Governor Kelly also doesn't want to play doctor, or doesn't think politicians should be doing that. It should be between the doctor, the parents, and the minor. But the state legislature thinks otherwise. And we have 26 other states that have enacted some sort of restrictions for gender-affirming care for minors. All the states around us, around Kansas, do that, with the exception of Colorado. So we are a little bit of an anomaly in our part of the country.
Okay, and then Bob, anything that you have seen as similar?
It was interesting during the debate on this bill that some Democrats pointed out, even offered some amendments, saying, well, if we pass this bill, should we look at the age in which Kansans can get married, which is actually 16 with parental consent. Some people said, what about tattoos? What about other things? So the point they were trying to make is that this is with, these things are going on with parental consent. Sometimes you don't hear that. You hear the critics say this is all about the children, but the parents are supposed to be involved. But this issue has become almost bigger than that. It was part of the presidential campaign, and it's a bit now part of that sort of meta political universe in which there's momentum with Donald Trump and the Republicans on a number of issues in his first 100 days. And that's why I think they wanted to get it passed so quickly. It was the first bill sent to the governor.
All right, we're also tracking property tax bills at the State House, and one bill could exempt you from paying taxes for certain items.
Yeah, it includes exemptions for watercraft, marine equipment, off-road vehicles, motorized bicycles, certain trailers, and aircraft. It has already passed the Senate, and right now it's in the House.
And Bill, we're going to punt this to you. What's your take, and what are some of the other property tax bills we should be keeping an eye on? Well,
the one you just mentioned is the watercraft and the ATVs and what. Basically, the state doesn't. It costs them more to collect that. It's not a big deal in the budget, so it costs counties to collect more. So that to me is a pretty low-hanging fruit for them. That's probably an easy one. The bigger ones that they've campaigned on, the legislature came back and said, we want to cut property taxes. There's 3 bills. One is a constitutional amendment to cap property value at 3%. There's another bill that takes the state's building maintenance mill levy and eliminates that. And then there's another one that takes the same amount of that mill levy from local schools. So there's kind of 3 competing for the big prize. The one that probably is standing out, just because I think people don't want their local services to be affected, might be the state building maintenance one. At the end of the day, though, we're talking $35 a year for a $200,000 house. There's not a lot that the state can do, but this was the first thing out of the gate in this session. So that's where we stand. So there's competing proposals, and I'm sure one is going to cross the line. I would think after hearing more from localities who would bear the brunt of any property tax cut. They still have 90 to 99% of the local services through property tax, and they can pull that mill levy lever and do away with a lot of the property value caps and the mill levy reductions. And so the one that doesn't hit local services the most might be the one that crosses the finish line.
All right, Bill, Bob, thank you so much. We got a lot more to get to after the break.
All right, well, as a shakeup for Kansas colleges, lawmakers are taking aim at tenure rights just as a court clears the way for fired professors to sue a state university.
Could this bill make it harder for them to fight back? We break it down next. We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
TV's #1 entertainment talk show is doing big numbers. Over 1,500 costumes, more than 100 stumps.
Guess what, Mark? You are so wrong.
300 plus stars a year.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome.
And 15 Emmys.
It's actually 16, humbly.
Respectfully.
Count on Live to make your morning shine.
Weekdays at 11 on 27 KSNT.
PayMe checking is the #1 debit card at Communication Federal. With good reason, because you earn real money rewards with your Visa debit card. With Communication Federal, you can get a fresh, shiny, new debit card at the branch same day, so you can get out there and do your thing and get rewards for doing it. Open your PayMe checking account online at comfedcu.org or at any branch in just a few minutes. PayMe checking, only from Communication Federal Credit Union.
Welcome to the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
This Saturday,
let's go race.
The new season rolls on.
Yes! Heck yeah, boys!
The action is live and loud from Atlanta.
These guys are relentless.
As Sam Mayer, Austin Hill, and the rest of the field
let's go!
Look to gain momentum in an early season showdown. The NASCAR Xfinity Series. This Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on the CW.
Self-love made me a better dad because I realized my worth. Arapahoe way, you gotta pray for yourself as well as for everybody else, but never forget yourself. The word father means a lot to me. When I give my love to my children as a father, I can see it. That's the benefit of being a father is seeing those smiling faces.
And welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. It is an attack on tenure that could make it harder for fired professors to sue state universities.
A court battle is currently taking place, and tenured staff are suing Emporia State after being fired during those mass layoffs back in 2022. The university got pushback not just from staff, but also students protesting their decision. Now a court says these professors can move forward with suing the university.
But this new bill could shake things up, right? I want to check back in with Bill and Bob. Bob, start with you. Tell us about this.
Well, this whole thing is very strange, and the reason I say that is that when Kansas has a board of regents, and they oversee the universities, obviously, and if a bill comes before the legislature that concerns from the board of regents school, one of the schools, it's supposed to go through the board of regents. So Emporia State University, apparently, everyone thought it looked like they were sponsoring a bill to get rid of tenure, because the lawyer for Emporia State was presenting this bill, and Emporia State said, no, that's not us, he's doing it on a personal basis. So first of all, that's very strange that it did not go through the Board of Regents, this very important bill involving a university. So K-State, KU, their presidents testified against it. So it caused a lot of controversy. But the upshot is we have this odd situation where one university in the Board of Regents system, again, seemingly is going up against the other universities. And where's the legislature going to side on this? We don't know, but I think it has the potential to be a very, very divisive issue going forward if this comes out of committee.
And then, Bill, your take?
This is not too strange from the sense that universities are a bit under attack. Professors are under attack nationally. There's been at least 10 states that have looked at, red states that have looked at doing the same thing. And we even had the Vice President Vance last year call professors the enemy. Is that true, Bob?
I'm an enemy of no one. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But to your point, yeah. Florida wanted to do this with Ron DeSantis, and they ended up doing a stringent 5-year review for tenured professors every 5 years. So they didn't actually get rid of it. But you're right.
Texas did the same thing. Yeah. They just tightened the screws a little, but kept tenure.
But even Texas and Florida had a tough time of completely eliminating. And the reason one of the reasons is that the really good research professors, they want to go to states where they can get tenure. And they're the ones that often bring in the big bucks. We're talking millions of dollars of research grants. So both KU and K-State testified saying, hey, if you want Kansas not to get these type of professors, basically go ahead and pass this bill. Even Texas and Florida didn't want to do that.
Yeah, these are economic drivers. So
yeah, big economic drivers. Millions of dollars in grants.
Huge.
Yeah.
And real quick, we want to talk about some inside baseball here because we got a statement from the governor's chief of staff claiming that Republican leadership was threatening higher education institutions behind closed doors that if they testify against this bill, they would get their funding slashed.
I told you this was strange, right? The whole thing was very odd. Ironically, I don't know if that's true or not, but ironically, one of the reasons to have tenure is to protect people against political pressure. And ironically, if it's true that legislators were trying to politically pressure the presidents of the universities, it sort of justifies the whole point to have tenure in the first place.
Yeah. Well,
We don't know if it's true, but still, it seems very ironic that might have been going on when we're discussing tenure, political pressure to withhold funding from a university if they don't say what people want them to say.
And I did want to pull up their statements real quick.
Yes.
Right now we have the governor's chief of staff, Will Lawrence, saying in part, this is the corruption that we expect in Washington, D.C., not in Kansas. That's when he was making those claims. Then Republican Senate President Ty Masterson denying that claim, saying in part, it is a complete mischaracterization of if not outright fabrication, to even suggest that universities were threatened with retribution for offering testimony. All of it pretty chaotic, and not sure, is this something that you think has any standing, or was this just word of mouth? What was going on there?
Go ahead. I would say it's rare for anybody in the Capitol to outright make a statement based on something said behind closed doors. So what it does tell me, if nothing else, is that the governor's staff and Will Lawrence, chief of staff, was really unhappy about how all of this played out. That's just pretty rare to have the governor's office come out so quickly to describe something that was discussed behind closed doors.
Okay, Bob, Bill, thank you both. We've got more to get to after the break.
I've never met a farmer that doesn't care about feeding hungry mouths around the world.
Okay, President Trump's plan to get rid of USAID could get rid of a major program for Kansas farmers. How lawmakers are trying to save it. That's next.
And we'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics. Stay with us.
27 News is proud to be part of Northeast Kansas and the surrounding communities. We stay close to the roots of Northeast Kansas, and our team is deeply rooted in the community.
With our 27 News brand working for you, we celebrate the good happening in our community and hold the powerful accountable.
And when severe weather threatens, the 27 News Storm Track weather team is quickly online and on air to give you advance warning.
27 News, proud to be working for Northeast Kansas, working for you.
When we have the food we need, we are at our best. We push further. We rise higher. We unlock our full potential. When we have the food we need, we make our communities stronger. Together, we can help everyone get the food they need to thrive. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
TV's #1 entertainment talk show is doing big numbers. Over 1,500 costumes, more than 100 stumps.
Guess what, Mark? You are so wrong.
300 plus stars a year.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome.
And 15 Emmys.
It's actually 16, humbly.
Respectfully.
Count on Live to make your morning shine.
Weekdays at 11 on 27 KSNT.
You may not realize it, but these words, often used to describe someone with a mental health condition, can be very harmful. In a country where 1 in 5 people are affected by a mental health condition, it's time for all of us to step up and change the conversation. Just because someone's struggle isn't obvious on the outside doesn't mean they aren't hurting on the inside. We need to see the person, not the condition. Join with me, pledge to be stigma-free.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. Next up, it's a program that helps feed people around the world, and it could be in jeopardy.
Yeah, it's called the Food for Peace program, and Kansas lawmakers on Capitol Hill are trying to save it. Representative Tracy Mann and Senator Jerry Moran introduced a bill to transfer the program to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Well, the program sends surplus food from farms to areas of global conflict. It's currently under the U.S. Agency for International Development. Well, that agency was shuttered by President Trump and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Well, its future is unclear. Mann says that moving the program to the USDA is a win-win for Kansas farmers and U.S. policy.
I've never met a farmer that doesn't care about feeding hungry mouths around the world. It's good for our policy, nationally or internationally as we are leading. It also matters. This is the most cost-effective thing we can do because we've learned that radical Islamist terrorism and other bad things happen when people are starving. And to have DOGE go through and look at every program, every line item, a lot of the information they're getting are things that Congress has requested but never got. The level of detail on the spending and the horrible programs that USAID was funding, things like transgender operas in South America, whatever those are, Sesame Street in Iraq, LGBTQ initiatives in Guatemala. I mean, these are things that Kansans don't want us to spend our money on, period, especially when we're $36 trillion in debt. So credit President Trump doing a great job getting the right person in place, going through adding transparency. These are things that they have been hiding from Congress, frankly, and really glad they were able to provide some oversight, accountability, and get to the bottom of this spending.
Well, the program's roots can be traced back 70 years ago when President Eisenhower signed an earlier version of the program into law.
And for farmers in Kansas, this program is really critical because it also creates a steady demand for their crops. So if this goes away, what sort of impact could this have? Bob, let's start with you then, Bill.
Oh, this would have a tremendous impact if this goes away because obviously Kansas, supplies food to the world, and this allows just a steady sort of supply for them to be paid, and they can know year to year that the government's going to take it and send it on out. And what this really shows is that, while a lot of people support what Donald Trump is doing and with the agencies, by cutting everything that USAID did, that head rolled away, and we're seeing people like Senator Moran and Representative Mann and Kansas saying, wait, there was some things in there we didn't want chopped off. And so they're sort of scrambling now to grab something back. We'll see if other things are, that happens in other ways from other states, but it'll be a really big victory if Senator Moran especially and the others can get this money back into agriculture and then keep it for Kansas farmers. And as they pointed out, get it to people who need it around the world so it just doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, to that point, it is about the Kansas economy and the farmer. 8 of our top 10 global exports are ag-based. Our senators have even gone to bat to open up trade with Cuba. But to that point, your last point, it's when people, I'm paraphrasing, but when people are hungry, they get mad and they're open to other, and so foreign policy wise, this is a real issue. So economic, yes, for Kansas. Foreign policy, Kansas plays a role in that with our farm.
Yeah.
And Kansas, of course, being a huge agricultural state, is there something that maybe a misunderstanding about this, or maybe something that you want citizens and Kansans to know that maybe they don't or haven't picked up on?
Well, you know, I think Bill's 100% right, because what we're hearing from Senator Moran and others is that not only is this an economic driver, but it helps world stability. So it's not just the Food for Peace plan that's getting cut with USAID. It's AIDS programs and healthcare programs and other things. And the idea that Senator Moran talked about is that when countries go into chaos, that can produce terrorism, that can produce instability, that can threaten the United States. So it's one thing, yes, government efficiency, but getting rid of programs that are very, very beneficial and have been for 50 years is probably something that may not be in the best interest of the United States.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, when we come back, a look at some more key takeaways from this week. We will be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
Can I get a Kelly in here?
Oh, yes, you can.
It's Kelly Clarkson, y'all! Every day on Kelly.
Yeah, I'm here.
Feel the love. So friggin' excited. I was gonna keep it chill, but if I had this job, I would never keep it chill. Everything you want, it's all right here. I love this crowd!
Y'all, it's an all-new Kelly.
All new weekdays.
Weekdays at 3 on 27 KSNT.
More than 6 million kids in the U.S. have ADHD. Many aren't getting the support they need. At understood.org, we can help. Sometimes in class, the only thing your child can focus on are the thoughts racing through their head.
Why am I always falling behind? Why do I feel so alone?
We provide parents with the resources they need to help kids with ADHD thrive. Your child wants to thrive. Be the reason they do.
So you're the mighty Ted Black.
I'm who they send when they have no chance, but they need a win.
Remember this guy, Harvey, the only person cockier than you.
That's exactly why I liked him.
For decades, one figure has stood as a symbol of Hollywood excellence, an icon of achievement and timeless beauty.
Timeless beauty. It's a bit much, but I'll take it.
And this year, he will take center stage once again.
I am honored to host.
Radiating perfection as only Oscar can.
Him. Yeah. I knew it.
Conan O'Brien hosts the Oscars, Sunday, March 2nd, live on ABC and Hulu.
Well, welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. Well, finally, let's get into some other key takeaways from this week. First up, talks of a new NIL model for student athletes in Kansas.
That new revenue sharing model would allow D1 schools to pay college athletes for the first time in history. It's part of a settlement between the House and the NCAA. Schools could start sharing between $20 to $30 million with players starting in July. So much money.
This is a fascinating topic, Bob and Bill. I've been talked about for a long time. Bill, got to start with you, being a former D1 athlete, which is impressive. What are your thoughts on this?
Other than being bitter, it is a new world, without a doubt. A couple things. Name, image, likeness. That's what NIL is. What we're talking about with the house payment is really not name, image, likeness. It is paying you for your performance, the fact that you're playing and practicing. So there's a cap that they're putting forth of just over $20 million. And they have to fit all the women and men under that. So the interesting question I would have is Title IX. Can you fit everybody under that? There was an interpretation that Title IX applies to this right before Biden left. It'll be interesting to see what the Trump administration sides with. Whether everybody has to be paid, because you can't do that with football. Completely tilts the proportionality to being paid. There's no women's equivalent. So, so this I don't know that. Yeah, there's still some dust on this that we need to settle.
We don't know what we're talking about. Nobody does. I mean, not we specifically, but in terms of all of this, this is totally, wild, wild west, right? And there was a hearing in the Kansas legislature with KU was there, K-State, Wichita State, and they were asked various questions like, well, where are you going to get the money? And basically they're like, good question, and the legislature said, one of the legislators said, "You're looking at us?" And they're like, "Yeah, maybe we're looking at you." So is this money going to come from the state? So if that's the case, because this is revenue sharing, NIL tends to be big donors, right?
You're doing a commercial. You're selling your jersey.
The local car salesman, yeah. But this is revenue sharing. This is going to come from the revenue. So the universities were saying to the legislature, we're going to be losing revenue here. So where's $25 million going to come from? They don't know. And if it comes from the state, then we're in this whole new realm of, oh, my tax dollars are paying for that quarterback, who, by the way, has an NIL deal for $5 million, but I'm also paying taxes to pay him. And this is in the midst of us cutting property taxes, which may affect whether we have a fire department. So the politics of this are pretty off the charts.
And I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
And they might play different in Alabama than they would in Kansas, would you say? Yeah. They might come up with the money in Alabama.
In Alabama, it'll be like, how much can we pay in taxes, right? Yeah, I don't know. But it really is, they don't know yet. In April will be the ruling, another court ruling that will really decide whether this is going to be the case.
Okay, and then we also have Kansas GOP Chairman Mike Brown throwing the towel in. He's not going to be running for chair again. So right now he made that announcement this week saying in part he wants to focus on his family and personal pursuits. So that means we're looking at other potential candidates that could be running. Who could that be, Bill?
Denidre Herbert is the name and the only name that I know of at this point. She's Attorney General Kobach's communications director. It looks like there was a little bit of a tiff with Mike Brown and his predecessor as the GOP chairman, Mike Kunkelman. He has rallied support for Ms. Herbert to open, as they say, the tent a little bigger, and that would read more traditional, I guess, moderate Republicans, make room for them as well as conservatives.
All right.
Interesting. Well, yeah, also the governor's race, 2026, bringing out some big names. All right, who are some of the people who are throwing their names in the ring there, Bob?
Well, this is very exciting to be a year and a half or maybe 2 years out, because this is what we love. I mean, obviously Scott Schwab, the Secretary of State on the Republican side, has already declared, and we've heard Ty Masterson, the President of the Senate, Republican side, but also possibly former Governor Jeff Collier, possibly Insurance Commissioner Vicki Schmidt. But, those are names we've heard for a long time. The real exciting news, at least according to a report from Brad Cooper of Sunflower State Journal, is that Dayton Moore, the former general manager of the Kansas City Royals and 2015 World Series champion, is considering a run. He's going around the state. He's talking to people, getting feedback. Probably some of them might be donors, right? People want to donate to a campaign. So he's thinking about it. And that would obviously very much shake up the race, because he'd be a political outsider, but he'd have resources, he'd have experience in management, he'd have name recognition. So that could be a heck of a Republican primary, if he does decide to run.
All right, things getting pretty exciting.
Yeah, we always get excited.
Thank you all. Okay. And that was your look inside Kansas politics. If you want to stay up to date with all things Kansas politics, then follow us on social media. Follow us on X at InKSPolitics and on Facebook. Just search Inside Kansas Politics.
And we'll also post the full video on YouTube. Just search KSNT News. And make sure you check out Inside Kansas Politics at KSNT.com for past episodes. And if you have a story that you think we should cover, just let us know. You can email us at ikp@ksnt.com.
We'll see you right here, same time, same place. Have a good day.